Hello, this is Ian, Somerset News Network. I've been trying to get my camera to work on the recording package I've got. Don't know why. Pulled out plugs, put in plugs. It's working. Shh, don't tell anybody. Right, things in the news. I just want to run some things that I found out over the last couple of days. A friend of mine is a car dealer, and he comes and sees me and has a cup of coffee and we have a chat. And I said, how are EV sales going? Because he sells second-hand cars. He said, I don't do second-hand EVs. They're not selling. Oh. He said, because you don't know the condition of the battery, and then you have to pay for a report on the battery, and people don't want to buy a second-hand EV if they don't know the condition of the battery. And he said, I don't want to get involved in it. I'm only using petrol and diesel cars. Oh. I said, what are you going to do in 2030 when the government bans them? He said, well, people that have already got them will still be allowed to do it. But it's now, he said, he thinks it's been extended to 2035 because EVs aren't selling. So what does the government do to persuade people to buy EVs? This is him talking to me. He said they put 3p a mile on electric cars. He said, yes, it's fair enough that they pay the road tax, like we pay road tax within the tax within fuel duty. He said, but it's not encouraging people to buy electric cars. He says he thinks it will put people off buying electric cars. And he said the other problem is some insurance companies aren't insuring certain models. I said, how can they not insure a car? He said it's risk. He said the EV loses so much money as soon as you take it off the forecourt. He said, you look at McMaster, because he watches McMaster like I do. He said he bought a Porsche for 140,000. It's now only worth 20,000 4 years later. The depreciation is absolutely unbelievable. And to get a new battery for the Porsche is £40,000. So if anything goes wrong with the battery, it's scrap, because buying the battery is more than the car's worth. And this is how insurance works. He's telling me all this now. And I said, well, what cars can't you buy that insurance aren't insuring? He said, well, there's a list of 6. He said, there's the EV Range Rover. If you live in Birmingham, Manchester or London, you're unlikely to be able to get insurance. This is him talking now. Oh, I said, what else? He said, BMW EV. He said, the cost of replacing batteries and repairing on the electric side is so expensive, the car loses so much value in 2 years, it becomes uninsurable. He said, before anybody buys an EV, this is him talking to me now, he said, my advice, if anybody is buying an EV, check with your insurance company first. Find out how much the insurance is going to be for it, and if they insure them. Because there are some models they're not insuring. Another one is Tesla Model S. I thought that was a good car. You know, they say if they got problems with the electric cars, you should have got a Tesla. Well, if you're not going to be able to get insurance for a Tesla Model C, you're not going to be buying one, are you? The other one is the Mercedes EV EQC. Very hard to get insurance for. And the other one is the Jaguar I-Pace. Don't know what that is. I'm not into cars. But a Jaguar, can't get insurance for it. So you've got overpriced cars that people are being forced to buy because the government are trying to get you all to drive electric. Yeah, some of them you can't even insure. And you can't insure them second hand because of the cost of repairs for replacing a battery. Go into it. Check the insurance companies and see if they insure the model you want and how much it is. That was his advice. Anyway, there you are. That's my tale of woe for this morning. What else is in the news? This is called things in the news. So we've got a couple of little things to talk about. Mayoral elections. The Labour government, the tyranny of the Labour government has no end. It's just unbelievable. Not only have they stopped jury service, so you only have a sitting judge, that's like, it's going back 400 years to James II. If you read the history on James II, they were turned the country into a Catholic country. Although we had Henry VIII before in the mid-1500s and declared us a Protestant state and got rid of the monasteries, James II brought back the Catholics into the crown. Only Catholics could be government officers. Protestants were sacked, thrown out. They had ecclesiastical courts, church courts. That led us to what was called the Glorious Revolution of 1688. And they invited James II's daughter, Mary, with her husband, which was the Prince of Orange. They came over to Brixham in South Devon and came up what is now the 303 and went to London. Before they got to London, James II opted and went to Scotland and then went over to Ireland. Now, that's called the Glorious Revolution. 1688, because not a shot was fired. So, the Lords and the Commons then recognised William and Mary as joint king and queen. There was a Declaration of Rights. It's the first thing to remember. It wasn't a Bill of Rights, it was a Declaration of Rights. And it was all listed out. And it's two-sided. It says what the James II government did on one side, the tyranny of it, and on the other side it put things in place and gave us our rights back from the Magna Carta and other acts of Parliament that linked to our Constitution and put it back in place. Jury service was one of them. Jury service was then edited for a Jury Act at a later date, but we still have the right to jury. And the Bill of Rights was changed because it was expanding our rights, not restricting them. Now the Labour government is restricting that right of jury trial. It is against our Constitution. You know, the Constitution they tell us that we haven't got. The Constitution is within the Magna Carta of 1216. Not 1215, because that was revoked by the Pope. There's a Magna Carta of 1216. It was reaffirmed by the Charter of 1297. And then there's other Liberties of the Subjects Act, 1404, 1354, which is where we get due process of law from, and then the Bill of Rights, and then the Act of Settlement. The Act of Settlement put the crown in the hands of the Protestant king and queens and their successors. And when a monarch dies and a new monarch takes over, it's from the Succession Act. So when the Queen Elizabeth died, King Charles was the first in line, so he then becomes king. When the king dies, and let's hope he lasts a long time, then William will be king, and Catherine will be queen. And then the Succession Act will then put George and Caroline and Charlotte, sorry, not Caroline, Charlotte and Louis. That's the way it works. Harry's on that at the moment, but I expect that Harry will come off of that if they have a succession bill go through Parliament. I think Parliament will take Harry off of it. I hope they do anyway. Right, that's it. So you have the tyranny of the government. Now we've got the tyranny of a Labour government. They want to now stop jury by trial, and they're also stopping local elections for the mayors in certain regions, because it is likely that the Labour position that it is now will lose to either the Conservatives or to Reform. So if they think they're going to lose an election, they stop it. They did it with the council elections. This is constitutional law. This is tyranny. This is what it is. It is the tyranny of a Labour government. Now, the last European countries to ban jury trials were Mussolini in Italy, Hitler in Germany, and Stalin in Russia. So Starmer is now in with the four dictators. They're the far-right dictators, not Farage or the Conservatives. Let's get this right. They were all socialists. And Starmer is as well. A little technical hitch there. Camera just went off. It's working now, so here we go again. We've said the mayoral elections have been cancelled in certain regions because Labour think they're going to lose. So they're not having the election so they can continue with the Labour mayor that's in charge. That is tyranny. It's all pure and simple. Right, budget fallout. They're still talking about the budget. This isn't going to end. Rachel Reeves, Rachel from Accounts, she lied in the Commons. Now, I follow politics. I follow the news. Now, we were told when Labour came to power that there was a 2 billion black hole and we'd have to pay more taxes. Then after Christmas last year, we were told, the Labour government said, that the black hole had been increased to 50 billion. And they blamed the Tories for it. Well, I said, well, the Tories have been in almost a year and they've put 30 billion into the black hole. Or taken it out of the black hole. I don't know which way you want to say it. Now, when you get the budget, we're now told it's only 30 million. So it was 20 million, then 30, then 50 million. Now it's back to 30 again. Now we're told that we are actually in a surplus by the Office of Budget Responsibility, that we were 4.2 billion in the black. We had a surplus. So what do you believe? Who's telling the truth? And the director of the OBR, Office for Budget Responsibility, has had to resign because he leaked the budget before Rachel Reeves from Accounts stood up in the Commons. But they've been doing that for years. The newspapers get the budget before so they can write their reports. So they don't have to wait until Rachel Reeves announces it in the Commons. The Times, the Telegraph, BBC, ITV, Sky, they all get the budget before Rachel Reeves stands up. And that's done as a leak from the OBR. It's standard practice. So because Rachel Reeves stood up and went against the OBR advice, and she should resign, they force the OBR director to give him the sack because he leaked the report that he normally does every year. Yeah, I think that's about right. Oh, you can't make this stuff up, can you? So it's now still in disarray. The Conservatives are calling for a government inquiry into what Rachel Reeves said. Starmer has backed her, which means he's going to have to go as well. And Nigel Farage is also asking for a Commons inquiry into what Rachel Reeves has done with the budget. Now, there's so many Labour MPs, they got over 400 MPs, they got such a majority, they might stop it happening. This is tyranny. This is how tyranny works. The government has too much power, and Starmer is using it. And not for the good of the people, it's for the good of him and his cronies, so he can get more freebies, I expect. Anyway, this is Ian. My little chat today is over. I think I've talked for long enough. And bye bye for now.